Did you know there's an official blacklist of airlines that are completely banned from flying in the European Union? We're not talking about airlines that have delayed flights or bad service here. We're talking about airlines whose planes are considered potentially dangerous. Planes that don't meet basic technical requirements, pilots without proper licenses, no inspections, and sometimes even no flight records. When we plan our vacations, we all look for cheap flights and good deals. But have you ever wondered why some airlines are so cheap? Sometimes it's not a sale, it's a warning. Today, I'm going to take you on a trip to the darkest side of aviation. I'll tell you about the airlines that have been kicked out of European skies, show you which countries have the most bans, and reveal what has to happen for the European Commission to say, "Stop, this plane won't land in Europe." Stick around till the end, because this list might surprise you, and it might make you think twice before you click Buy Ticket. The Airline Blacklist is an official list of airlines that don't meet basic flight safety rules. The European Commission puts it out, working with the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, EASA. It's not a secret paper, but a public warning to keep passengers safe from flying with airlines that could be truly dangerous. It includes airlines that have been found unable to fly safely in European Union airspace. Reasons for being on the list can vary, from planes not getting their checkups, to pilots without the right training, to corruption and a lack of oversight from local flight authorities. In some cases, it's about airlines that just ignore international safety rules and fly old worn-out planes from the Cold War era. What's interesting is that the blacklist isn't just company names. It also includes countries whose entire fleet is banned from flying. This means no plane registered in that country can fly over Europe. It's like a flight ban. Right now, there are more than 120 airlines from over 20 countries on the blacklist, from Africa to Asia. The list gets updated a few times a year, and each changes because of careful checks and reviews done by European experts. This shows one thing: Europe takes air safety very seriously. If we look at the airline blacklist map, one continent clearly stands out: Africa. That's where the largest number of airlines banned from flying to Europe come from. And even though things are slowly getting better, many countries are still struggling with serious problems in air safety. Just think of countries like Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Angola, Eritrea, Sierra Leone, or the Central African Republic. In each of these, civil aviation faces the same challenges: a lack of modern airplanes, underfunded technical inspection systems, and insufficient training for staff. In many cases, it's not just about the equipment, but also corruption and a lack of oversight from governments. Airlines in these countries often use planes that would have been in a museum in Europe long ago, machines that are 30, even 40 years old, repaired many times in makeshift ways, often without access to original spare parts. Some cases are truly legendary. Air Koryo from North Korea, even though it's not from Africa, is one of the most famous examples of an airline whose fleet was deemed too unsafe for Europe. Its planes have been a symbol of outdated technology and a lack of transparency for years. Similarly, Blue Wing Airlines from Suriname, this airline ended up on the blacklist after a series of accidents where entire crews died. In Africa, many airlines operate with practically no safety audits. Often, there are no independent aviation oversight bodies there, and regulations are outdated or not enforced at all. This means the risk of flying in such countries is much, much higher than in Europe or North America. Experts, however, point out that the situation is slowly changing. In countries like Ethiopia and South Africa, modern training centers and technical hubs are being built, which could improve safety across the entire region in the future. But until then, most African airlines will still have to stay out of European skies. In Asia, the situation with airline safety is much more mixed. On one hand, we have modern powerhouses like Singapore Airlines or Japan Airlines, which are known as some of the safest in the world. But on the other hand, there are countries where flying still feels like the old pioneer days, and these are the countries that have airlines on the European Union's blacklist. The clearest example is Nepal, a country with amazing scenery but also very tough conditions for flying. Mountainous areas, unpredictable weather, short runways, and not having fancy navigation systems mean that flights in this area are some of the riskiest in the world. Not without reason, all Nepalese airlines, without exception, are on the EU blacklist. In the last 20 years, there have been dozens of accidents there, killing hundreds of people. Carriers like Tara Air, Sita Air, or Nepal Airlines have had many problems. Even though they try to make things better, the lack of good facilities and oversight stops them from flying in European skies.
A similar situation applies to Iraq, Afghanistan, and Kyrgyzstan. In these countries, airlines operate in politically unstable conditions, often in areas where there have been or still are armed conflicts. As a result, many of these companies don't have access to modern spare parts, training, or certified mechanics. The planes are old, and technical records are often kept by hand or not at all. What's interesting is that some of these airlines only fly within their own country or region, serving short local routes, often the only way for isolated communities to connect. Even so, the risk is so big that the EU doesn't let their planes fly in its skies. The European Union has been working for years with groups like ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, to help these countries make things better. But experts say that even the best rules can't replace good facilities, training, and a culture of safety, which take years to build. Until these things are fully in place, Asian airlines from countries like Nepal or Afghanistan will still be a risk and will stay on the blacklist.
Not every airline that ends up on the blacklist stays there forever. For many airlines, a flight ban to Europe is a huge blow, financially, to their image, and operationally. But there are also examples of companies that saw it as a push to make changes. Let's take Philippine Airlines, the national airline of the Philippines. For years, the airline struggled with technical issues, an old fleet, and a lack of proper training standards. When it was put on the blacklist in 2010, it lost the ability to fly to the biggest European airports, which really hurt its reputation. However, instead of giving up, the company invested millions of dollars in modernizing its fleet, hired international experts, and went through strict checks. After 3 years, in 2013, Philippine Airlines returned to Europe with modern Airbus planes and a completely new safety system. Garuda Indonesia, the national airline of Indonesia, went through a similar journey. It used to be a symbol of chaos and neglect, but today it's considered one of the best in Asia. After being blacklisted in 2007, the Indonesian government started a big overhaul of its civil aviation system, from technical checks to pilot training to creating a modern oversight agency. The result? By 2009, Garuda was removed from the list, and today it regularly wins awards for its quality service. From Africa, a good example is Allied Air from Nigeria, which had to completely rebuild its structure after terrible accidents and many safety violations. It replaced its fleet of old Boeings, brought in Western standards for technical maintenance, and passed ICAO audits. Today, it can fly to Europe again, even though, for many years, it was a symbol of the blacklist. It's worth knowing that the process of returning to the European skies is long and very demanding. The European Commission, together with the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, EASA, conducts a series of detailed checks, from technical documents to physical inspections of planes and interviews with staff. Only after meeting all international standards can an airline be removed from the list. This shows that the blacklist isn't a forever punishment, but more like a warning and a push to get better. For passengers, it's also a sign that the system works, that Europe doesn't just ban, but also rewards those who take real steps to make flying safer. As of today, the European Union's blacklist includes over 120 airlines from various parts of the world. Most of these come from countries where aviation infrastructure is not well developed and technical and training oversight is insufficient. The majority of airlines banned from flying come from Africa, Central Asia, and the Middle East. Among the most well-known names, we'll find, for example, Bluebird Aviation, Sudan, Fly, Saks, Kenya, Avior Airlines, Venezuela, Iran, Aseman Airlines, Iran, Air Koryo, North Korea. Each of these airlines has a history of problems, from technical failures and accidents to a lack of government oversight and planes that are too old. Air Koryo, North Korea's national airline, has been on the list for years due to its outdated fleet of Tupolevs and Antonovs and a lack of transparency regarding safety. Avior Airlines from Venezuela was added after a series of inspections that revealed numerous technical irregularities and missing documentation. It's worth noting, however, that some of these companies still operate locally, serving short routes in their regions where regulations are less strict. For passengers in these countries, it's often the only transportation option, but from the European Union's perspective, it's too risky to allow their planes into European skies. This is a reminder that safety in aviation is not a given. It requires continuous investment, control, and adherence to international standards. The European Union has one of the strictest flight safety oversight systems in the world. This program is called SAFA, Safety Assessment of Foreign Aircraft. It's a system that lets inspectors in every EU country do surprise checks on any foreign airline plane that lands at a European airport. Every inspection is super detailed. Inspectors check the plane's technical condition, the crew's documents, pilot licenses, and even the recorded data from the black boxes. They also check if the plane has the right emergency equipment, if technical checks are up to date, and if the airline follows international safety rules set by ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization. If serious problems are found during the inspection, the plane can be grounded right there and the airline immediately goes on a watch list. In cases of serious violations, the European Commission puts it on a blacklist, banning flights across the entire EU. It's worth adding that SAFA doesn't just apply to small airlines from developing countries. Any airline, even big and well-known ones, can be inspected at any time. It's thanks to this system that Europe is considered the safest aviation region in the world. For passengers, the blacklist is mainly a very important warning and a safety tip. It means that the airline doesn't meet the basic European standards, and flying with them could be really risky. If you're planning a trip from a faraway country or with a little-known airline, it's a good idea to check the current EU list before you buy your ticket. The reasons for a ban can include old planes, not doing regular technical checks, not training pilots enough, or problems with emergency plans. For passengers, this means that choosing an airline should be a careful decision. Safety isn't something you should try to save money on. The European Commission putting out the blacklist protects travelers and makes aviation standards better all over the world. It reminds us that every flight should be safe first and foremost, not just cheap or convenient. The airline blacklist is more than just a list of airline names. It's a symbol of the constant fight for safety in the air. Every airline that's ended up on this list shows that there's no room for cutting corners in aviation. Even small mistakes can lead to disaster. For passengers, it's also a reminder to be responsible when choosing an airline. It's always a good idea to check if an airline is on the EU list, especially if you're traveling to faraway places or picking less-known airlines. Now, a question for you. Did you know that some airlines are completely banned in Europe? Do you check an airline's safety before buying a ticket? Share your experiences in the comments below. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next episodes about the world of aviation and travel. Safe flights!